Hello and welcome to tonight's episode of Dice and Destiny. For those that have not subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, that is at DND Games. DND is in capital letters and the capital G. So visit our YouTube, subscribe to us there, watch and re-listen to all of our previous episodes, and enjoy the open season shows as well. Other than that, we have our Christmas schedule up and released. And just to fill you all in, this is how it's going to go. So, of Dice and Destiny, the Christmas schedule is obviously the main session tonight, live as usual. On the 5th of December, so next week, we will be having a fireside chat where it will be your questions and our chaos, essentially. On the 19th of December, we have our open season Yuletide Dungeons. Our seasonal one-shot is returning in all of its glory, and there are many here at the table tonight who can attest to that. So, and then in between, we're going to be having games hosted by members of the community and members around this table. One of our players is interested. Well, two of them are interested in hosting one-shots, and I'm looking forward to actually being a player, considering I'm a forever DM. After that, we will be back on the main campaign, starting on the second Friday of January. So, without further ado, after a night of nightmares, Jess woke up. Well, everyone woke up at Elizabeth's tailor shop, and especially with Jess still haunted by the image of snake's blood on her hands and a knife being handed to her by a masked figure. Over breakfast, Elizabeth quietly levels with the group. Nix didn't set you up. The forgotten children in Razorback's alley saw a wanted informant and a pack of clueless out-of-towners and decided to pounce on the opportunity. She framed it as a wrong place, wrong time, and strongly suggested that that's exactly how you should have pitched it to the Azure Watch. And to be fair, you did. Before sending you out, though, she reminded you of your midday appointment, and she shared her own little trauma tick, a red cord with two little bells that she fidgets with whenever she sees blood or is reminded of trauma, underlining what happened in the alley. It's going to leave marks, whether the watch punished you or not. But with a few hours to kill, as a group you wandered around Ironstead instead of stewing, and you drifted through the market ward on a busy market day. You could smell the spice, the smoke from the incense, and the stallholders, you could hear them all shouting, until eventually you found a cartographer's stall run by Roger, a slightly chaotic seafaring mapmaker who's just come off the boat, it seems. And after a bit of haggling and charm, you traded a folding camping chair for a city map of Ironstead and a few sheets of parchment. Roger, never having seen this design before, and you lot assuring him that it isn't registered with the IOI, or the insurance Insurance Office of Inventors. So Roger, rather excited, was already dreaming about patenting this marvel and selling it under license when he next returns to port. Around midday, you arrive to report to the Azure Watch headquarters, which is just north of Festival Square. Weaving past green cadets failing their drill in front of the hall, giant gate guards confirm your appointment and send you in. Past a floating azure sword humming with energy. When you stepped in and saw this and walked past the floating sword in its on its pedestal and in a glass case, you also noticed the founder portraits. And eventually, after meeting someone, you were guided to a repurposed map room, which is where you gave your statements. You finally met the Unity Marshal, Brackathorn, calm, blunt, and very clear that his job is to simply get the truth out of you. Everyone wrote what their version of the Razorback of what happened in Razorback's alley in the fight, and he cross-checked that against one of the guards' reports. And Bracker made it plain to you. Yes, Snake was bad news, and the streets are safer without him. But you still don't get to go around killing people willy-nilly. I quote his words. Even if it's in self-defense. He also clocked that Steve deliberately, or accidentally on purpose, as Steve put it, used a thunderous spell to draw the watch in. And he digs into what Aspen found at the library regarding the Council of Seven, the Red Ledger, and the elven name Varshoven. Instead of cells or the gallows, as was feared, Bracker hands down something a little closer to, well, got yourself into this mess, so we're going to conscript you in to do the job that you started. And essentially decided that Cyrus, who is a watch agent with a little of his own history in Ironstead, was being sent to the travelling carnival, and you were to go with him, and he was there to give him his alibi to watch over you as you are newcomers to this town. With the party being the cover story and alibi, in return for your cooperation, and because sending you in half-armed would be rather idiotic, the watch took you all to the armory, kitted you out with proper basic weapons and leather armor, and even authorized Osiris to draw a little bit of petty cash so that you could all blend in as paying carnival goers. Closed the session with the group effectively cleared as self-defending outsiders. But now, you're on the watch's hook. Armed up, under quiet orders, and heading towards the carnival to help hunt an elusive elf whose name you really shouldn't have known. Whilst all of that was going on, Aurora, the innocent farmer dragged through, who has discovered that gods and deities in this world actually speak and respond, left a note before everyone else got up that simply read, "I am heading to the chapel. I need to pray." Aurora disappeared and headed to the granary chapel, which is slightly further away on the other side of town, to where the chapel at the Artisans Guild is. And on that note, we are going to start tonight's session with Aurora. It's a cold morning, and it's about 5:30 when you set off. You didn't really get much sleep the night before, tossing and turning with everything that's happened so far, but finding little comfort in Chauntea and not really having too much in the way of bad dreams or what have you. You're still a little shell-shocked. But you've headed towards the granary chapel, and Elizabeth, who was up just as early as you, gave you directions. She mentioned that the chapel was Chauntea's dedicated chapel, and that you would find members of Chauntea's clergy there. As you walk through the cold, slightly chilly, crisp, fresh morning across cobblestone streets following the directions you were given, you smell the smells of bakers that are baking their breads by the dozen, and you see various other market traders arriving to try and pick the best spots for their stalls as they set up in the morning. And you carry on until eventually you reach a small bridge that crosses over the river here, that runs through Ironstead. You cross over and you carry on your way. The streets around you go from being plush marble and stone and wealthy to well off, to some of the more outer homes here being more like half brick, half wood. Not shabby, no, not even run down. Decent enough. Happily house a family without any issues. But you notice as you're walking the stench this morning from some of the side streets and alleys as waste had been thrown out of windows, and it's not pleasant on your nose to begin with, especially this early in the morning compared to the fresh crisp air that you were used to in the first part of your first leg of the journey. You see a couple of torch and lanterns lighting the way, and the oil lamps that are in the streets are mostly fading out now as the sun begins to rise. It takes nearly an hour for you to walk that distance. So it gives you time to think. But you eventually arrive at the granary chapel. And as you're standing out the front, you can see a couple of members of the clergy already there in brown robes with blue belts around them, holding the robes together, standing out the front of what appears to be a rather large windmill that doesn't have any sails anymore. And you can tell it doesn't function as a windmill anymore. But it does seem to be fitting. One of Yes.
I was just gonna say that she's gonna walk towards this old windmill?
As you are walking towards the windmill, you find that one of the monks, monks that lives and resides within the chapel here and looks after the grounds, standing at the gate at this moment in time, he looks up at you. Chauntea's blessings this fine morning. How happen you to be here?
Um, uh, I'm sorry. Um, I'm not local. I um I recently got in contact with Chauntea, if that's the correct way of phrasing it. And
Yes.
right. I was I was looking to find out more about her from her worshippers.
Well, you've come to what I can only describe as the right place to find out a bit more here. We have prayer this morning, and I believe you'll hear the bells ringing in maybe 20, 30 minutes or so. If you wish to join us in prayer, you're more than welcome to sit silently with us and listen. You're more than welcome to ask uh, any of the order here regarding their positions and who they are and what it's all about. I myself more than happy to take you in and more than happy for you to more than happy for you to join us. Matters not where you come from, just it matters who you think you are and who others see you as. And, well, I believe that you seem to be a kind soul, no matter how far you've travelled. So I'm more than happy to welcome you in.
I thank you for such kind words. That would be a great honor if I could just listen in.
He leads you into the chapel grounds, and as you're walking in, you can see to your left, in one of the front gardens, as it were, rows of soil that has recently been harvested. Like whatever crops were there had recently been harvested, and the soil has been tilled and ploughed through and made and broken up a bit more. And as you look around, you see more small patches like this, with a couple that still have some vegetables or uh, vegetables or grains still residing in it, but these are literally being plucked and harvested this very day. As you're walking through, you can see some of the monks here, some of the clerics, and that actually tending these fields, as it were, already. Um, yes. Well, I hope your harvest was bountiful. As he says, as he notices you looking around and seeing these things.
I have yet to harvest, I suppose, is the correct way of saying that.
Very well. Then may your future harvest be bountiful.
And I wish the same for yours.
Thank you. As he leads you up into this mill, it's old, it's brick built, circular at the base, and it's your sort of classic red brick with wooden beams shoring up the walls, and it slopes slightly ever inwards until it gets to a point and then it flattens off. And then above that, you have the tower for the mill, for the windmill itself, which unfortunately doesn't have any sails at this time. And as you enter, the door opens and you see inside that the whole of this mill has been completely converted. You've got various pews in a semicircle, as it were, around an altar that's at the back. And it's a lot more spacious than you would have thought it was, because what you see of the front of the mill is just that, it's just the front. The reason why it's called the granary mill is because further back behind where the old windmill used to come in to be able to grind the wheat to make flour, you see there is even more space moving backwards. And it looks like the sort of place where you would find grain and flour and bags of whatever's being malts, barley, etc., being stored. And it goes back quite a ways. But the main prayer part is here at the front. And the altar, as it were, is essentially boarded off on the top from where the wooden pole comes down from the top where the windmill would used to crank.
The place is sure roomy.
Thank you. We have some storage at the back and some sleeping arrangements there, and a couple of our clerks and monks who use that area for their desk space so that they can finish off whatever writings or reports they have to make. You'll often sometimes find monks in here just copying information from one book to another, scriptures and things for their studies and research. This is very much a place of worship as well as of care and study. And yes, we've even turned this place into a makeshift hospital not too long ago, uh, when the Crimson Cloak syndicates were ravaging the streets, and we had to take care of many number of innocent people. Um, if I may, I am so sorry. I have not yet introduced myself. I am Brother Theodus.
A pleasure, brother. Um, I am Aurora. You may call me Aura.
Aura. Very well. And just as he finishes talking about the place and some of its history and what it's been through and where various things are, you hear the sound of the bell above. 3 very loud rings ring out across the town from where this old windmill is. And by the time the 3rd bell has struck, you see that almost all the seats have now been filled. And there are people here, peasants and people of normal stature, as well as priests and the monks and that. all here sitting down, ready to pray. He directs you to an empty seat at the front. Have a seat.
Yes, thank you.
Brother Theodos steps up to the altar, looks around, and begins ceremony. He talks of multiple ideas of enlightenment and bountiful harvest and blessings from Chauntea, and directing thanks and blessings of gratitude back to Chauntea. And he speaks of sharing the wealth of the bounty with the people and the locals that need it the most. He talks of giving, but being not overly giving in the sense of to a detriment to yourself, but talking of giving anything that you have in plenty. And he demonstrates this as part of the sermon by holding a glass in front of him, little wine glass, as it were. And he says, if this is all I was to need to eat from this harvest, and he takes the jug of water and he pours it into the wine glass. And this glass is now full. He stops pouring as it reaches the lip of the glass. Why do I need the rest? And he places the glass on top of the font that's built into the altar. And he continues to then pour water into the wine glass. And he says, everything here that overflows should be for the people. But I should also have enough to give myself and my family. And he sets the jug down. He then lifts the glass, holds it in front, takes a sip, and pours the rest into the font. If my glass is empty and I am continuing to give, then all I will be doing is hurting myself. Giving is good, but if you do not have enough for yourself, do not be afraid to ask. Chauntea will offer her blessings, as will the church offer you their help if you yourselves require it. He sets everything down, says, may Chauntea's blessings be upon you all as you harvest the last of your crops this day. And then dismisses the congregation of people that have gathered. With everyone standing up and leaving, it just leaves you with Brother Theodos there in the chapel. And he looks at you, and as he does so, he says, whilst performing that sermon, what did you feel?
I agreed with what was being said, I suppose. There's no need in keeping something if you don't need it, but you can't save people if you're not safe.
It's very true. Well, you're not here, though, just for a sermon, are you?
Not really, no.
Come with me. And he leads you to a small side room, which you can clearly see here was once used to store grain, but has since been converted into like a small meditation room or thought contemplation room, as they named it. Have you ever
We
meditated before?
meditated. I I wouldn't say I have, no, not in the traditional sense.
Very well. Then, and he begins to light some incense around the room. And as you're smelling the incense, I want you to, first of all, give me a constitution saving throw.
Oh, damn. Okay.
It is very, very potent. And the closest that you could put it to on Earth, I don't know if any of you have smelt or had valerian before, valerian root.
I don't know if you can see my roll, but that was a 15, and no, I have never had valerian root.
I can see that roll. And valerian root is often classed as a natural alternative to help ease anxieties and sort of calm your mind, and it can also be used as a sleep aid. This is not medical advice, but this is what it's stated by people to have the effects of, and have used it myself, and it for me it worked. For others, it might not. It's not medical advice. Don't take it seriously. Um, but it has a very bitter taste to it, and you get the sense of that bitterness from the smell of the smoke from the incense. And he motions for you to sit down, and you begin to feel the effects of the valerian drifting, just helping your mind to drift a little more freely to begin with. So,
So, oh,
go on.
I was basically I'm getting high.
Not quite. You're not getting high, you're getting floaty without the feeling of being high.
Right. Okay.
He motions for you to sit down and says, so when meditating, it's important to have a calm and relaxed state of mind, and to allow yourself to be able to drift freely from one thought to another without invoking reactions to them and the thoughts that you have. So that's what this incense is for. It helps to calm emotions and reduces anxieties within people, allowing them to more freely float away within their meditation. And we'll just start by a gentle breathing exercise in and out, no holding the breath, just your natural breath. And you begin to follow his instruction. Eventually, the valerian incense puts you into a trance with the steady breathing, and it puts you into a meditative trance, as it were, and you find yourself falling but you're not falling. It's more like floating. It's completely black all around you. There's no light, no stars, there's nothing around you. You don't hear any sounds other than the sound of a woman's voice in your head. So, you wish to learn of my ways, and you wish to follow myself in your travels?
Hello there. That was unexpected. It seems like a reasonable thing to do. I believe from the small amount of research that I've done that you are the type of god I am most aligned to in this
Very
realm.
well. So, I have for you 3 questions, as it were. And she waves her hand and as she appears in front of you, she waves her hand, and you see the emptiness around you fade and become, if black can fade, it faded. Trust me. And it becomes a field, and there are 3 patches of soil in front of you. I would like to see what you would do with this seed to begin with. And she hands you a single seed. And she explains that in the field that you see, these 3 fields are stitched together beside one another. One belongs to a wealthy merchant's garden, lush, well kept. His workers are often complaining that a blight might hurt his next shipment and profits. She explains the second, a poor family's barren plot. Cracked soil, starving kids, exhausted parents who can't make anything grow. And then she shows you the third plot. This, she says, is a makeshift memorial. Small, unmarked patch of earth with a crude token that reminds your cleric. It reminds you of Snake. For some weird reason. The seed in your hand begins to glow. You have 1 seed, 1 effort. Where do you wish to plant it?
Is the seed guaranteed to grow?
The seed will grow, yes.
Well, there is a simple answer then. A dead man no longer needs any vegetation. The rich man already has vegetation. The kids do not. And she will go towards that patch of land.
For the poor family's plot.
Yes.
As you plant the seed, the soil and step back, the soil softens. Tiny green shoot pushes through almost immediately. You see the family appear before you, briefly, like a silhouette. And you see their faces begin to regain colour. Chauntea says, "You understand who is hungry. Good. And she waves her hand. And the scene fades again.
Her brows furrow at the comment because, yeah, of course she understands who's hungry. A little confused.
As she then moves on, she starts walking with you. And she explains that a little questioning, and you would have found out that the merchant whose garden flourishes, if you had planted the seed there, would have been able to have grown more from it. He feeds the many, and if it's shared, but that's the question. Is it? But it
From
would
my
have.
experience, people with money do not tend to share it. There is a wide gap in the financial status of people, and it grows by the day.
So therefore you figured by planting the seed in the merchant's garden, you are merely planting it in stone.
I figured I was helping the class divide, and that is not something that I stand for.
It's very wise. But it wouldn't have been a wrong thing, no matter which plot you planted it in. For you see, the food that the merchant would have grown would have fed those that worked for him. And they themselves would then be able to eat and earn so that they could feed their families as well. So it didn't matter which you chose. None of the answers were wrong. As for the dead man's grave, well, the dead don't need to eat. So what would grow on their plots can freely be shared amongst everyone. So you see, there is no right or wrong answer. It's just what you feel in the moment is the most appropriate of choices.
She nods, understanding what she's going for. Not fully agreeing, but
Hmm.
understanding.
As you continue to walk, cobblestones appear under your feet, and you find yourself in front of a field with a picket fence around it, and you see various animals: sheep, cows, animals that you're familiar with.
A smile would spread across her face as she sees a glimpse of familiarity.
Hmm. She snaps her fingers. I want you to roll me a d4, please.
D4. 1.
So, on a 1, you find yourself. There it is. You find yourself and your view lower to the ground. Your sight seems sharper. Your breath steaming from your muzzle. And your skin is buried under a thick pelt. Every sound is loud and clear in its direction. There is a rustle of grass, dripping of distant water, tiny scratch of claws in the soil. Your claws. You look down and you see paws where your hands and feet would have been. You realize that you are essentially a border collie.
Sorry.
Sturdy sheepdog, made and built and bred for herding, a working dog. And Chauntea looks at you and says, "Don't worry, this form is temporary, whilst you dream. It's a vision trial. Think of this as borrowing a body for a lesson."
Right.
And she opens the gate and lets you into the field with these various animals. You're not alone. The sheep, they're aware of you and they start baaing quite loudly. The cows sort of shaking their heads and start moving towards one way or the other. And you hear it. You hear a crack of a snapping of wood or a twig from a hedgerow not too far from where you are.
It grabs her attention, and she'll kind of like almost turn around, but like it's a four-legged turn around because she's a dog.
Yep.
Like a jump turn thing.
Okay. Well, I think you're aware of the threat. You understand her say. How, without hands, do you protect your flock? And as she says that, you see coming out from the hedgerow 2 poachers. One with a crossbow, one with what looks to be a dagger and a small short sword. Halflings. What are you doing?
Her first reaction is gonna be to bark as loud as she can.
Mhm.
She's not gonna be alone. There's gonna be a farmer close by. You never leave your collie alone in case it gets stolen. So there's gotta be a farmer somewhere. And if they continue to approach, do they continue to approach when she's barking as loud as she can?
They do, but one of them aims a crossbow at you.
Uh, I'm just gonna go and attack him. She's barking as loud as she can, and she's gonna charge it. She's gonna
Now,
try and bite him.
okay, this is a halfling, and you easily make the distance as you are charging towards, barking loudly to get the attention of a farmer nearby. You charge towards these 2 halflings, one with the crossbow. You move side to side. I want a dexterity check from you. And as you're moving from side to side, he looses the crossbow bolt. Knowing that you now have time to actually jump up at him.
It's only an 11.
Crossbow bolt, it hits your paw. Doesn't pierce, but it does hit your paw. And it stings. There is a small graze where it's cut, but you push through it easily. And you carry on. And you charge at him, and you jump up at him, and you knock him down as you're barking at him. What are you doing?
Now I'm pissed off, so I'm gonna bite him. Oh, I'm gonna try and disarm him.
Okay. Roll and this will be a contested roll. So roll me a strength check then, please.
Oh, come on! An 11.
Oh my god,
Wait, you rolled that one?
I just rolled. The DM just rolled in that one.
Yes! Yes, guys, I'm winning! Aurora.
You
Menace.
easily manage to disarm the halfling without causing any damage, as it were. Rip that crossbow bolt out of his hands and lob it to one side using your mouth. The other halfling, seeing this, begins to flee. And as he flees, and the halfling beneath you is trapped, you find that your Chauntea, you find that she slowly fades the scene from underneath you. And then you start to straighten up back into a human form.
She'll kind of shake her head as she's transforming back into a human form. Try to get that dog out of her, you know? Quite literally.
The ache in your muscles begins to fade slightly as you feel your own hands again, fingers flexing, and you find as they flex small metal object that has appeared in your hands, holy symbol of Chauntea. She looks at you and says, "You stood your ground. That I like. Because shepherds do not stand behind the flock. They stand in front of it when faced with danger."
I was a collie. It was my job. I only have one if I'm a collie.
Yep. You felt it. You knew you couldn't save everyone in the herd. By focusing on herding the sheep, the animals, to a safer area. So you chose instead to sacrifice potentially yourself in order to save the flock. You put yourself last and others first, which is admirable.
She kind of nods her head. She's not really sure how to take a compliment like this.
Well, I have but one more trial. Just to see who you are as a person. And as she...
No more.
Sorry?
Shame.
No more
She
what?
replied, "More dog stuff? Shame."
Wow. As you say that, she waves her hands in an arch over you and herself. And around you, you begin to see filled, becoming a patchwork of overgrown weeds where no one has tended them, stumps where trees have been cut down, and a narrow alley of cobblestone that looks suspiciously similar to one in Ironstead that you are familiar with. All overgrown with creeping ivy. And there are several figures standing in the alley, blurred at the edges. One looks uncomfortably like one who's recently passed, with a knife and a sneer. Another could be a random watchguard or a child. And another one looks to be a child, vaguely familiar from one of the trials you've recently done. Chauntea says, well, you cannot grow without cutting. You cannot defend without harm. What do you think that means?
You can't grow without cutting means that sometimes you must start over to see more progress. You can't defend without harm means a coward will not defend anything. Sometimes violence is what it takes for things to be understood.
Ah, very well. The first of the figures that looks like Snake but blurred at the edges steps forward. I know it was not you that killed me, but do you regret the death? The figure asks you.
I wish it had not come to it. But to say that it was a regretted thing would be to say I regret my friends surviving the ambush. So no, don't regret it.
The figure fades and disappears. Chauntea steps forward. Guilt is but a weed. It must be pruned, not left to choke a field. You did what you thought was right, and I have no doubts that you will do that again. The question is whether you will keep tending after the harvest of blood.
She once again kind of cocks a brow at this. This is all poems, and she's not known to be the smartest of women.
Second figure steps forward, and this looks like the child that you grew crops on their plot. And he looks up. Thank you. You've allowed us to feed. You've allowed us to eat. And the crops that we grew that season absolutely helped us out. Little Timmy survived because we were able to make the bread. It is a pity, though, because our father no longer being with us, we had to tend that field ourselves. We tried. We succeeded. And then after we made our food and ate it, we realised we didn't know what we were doing. We forgot to keep the seeds so we could plant more. It's the sort of thing that Father used to do. He was a clever man.
I'm sure you're also clever. You're just young. You're at the beginning of your journey, and I am sure there are ways for you to recoup seeds. And next time you will not repeat the mistake.
That you
Life
are
is about
right. Life is.
learning. We learn from our mistakes, and thus we grow as people.
Very well, miss. And it's true, I learnt my lesson.
Yeah? That's good.
But in the meantime, and you see him begin to age slightly, now a teenager. We managed to get some seed, he says. Slight change in his tone this time. But the people we got the seed from weren't too happy about it. We tried to honestly buy some, and we couldn't, no matter where we went. We were always outpriced and turned away. We even went to the church, tried to join them, to help them tend their harvest so that we could eat. Little Timmy got in, but there were no more beds for me. So I stole some seed, planted it in that field, managed to grow a decent crop this time and kept the seeds, and re-sowed it for a few years now. But that magic that allowed our soil to grow faded, and our crop has died, become blighted. So once again, I have nothing. No food, no bread. Once again, I tried to join a group so that I could eat and earn some coin. Ended up with the wrong people because I was desperate, you see. Little Timmy's fine. Cleric's made a good day of him. Good man out of him. Myself,
Don't know what this is gonna be, and I'm gonna be so sad.
I'm just here on the streets.
I'm sure luck will turn around. It does for those who deserve it.
Luck. Luck ain't got nothing to do with this. It's my own choices, isn't it? I made a mistake. Chose the wrong group. Walked down the wrong road. Picked on the wrong people just to earn a bit of coin so that I could get a bit of bread. You say I could turn it around still?
Everyone has the hope.
Alright, we'll see. You got any guidance for me?
Instead of stealing, try helping. Help with no expectation of anything in return. maybe you'll go hungry one night or two, but when you help, people tend to help back in whatever way they can. If you see an old woman that has dropped her apples, help her and don't steal any. Put them all back in her bag and help her get home. If you have something that you can give to someone when they really need it and you could honestly survive the night without it, give it. They'll come back tenfold. It always does.
I'll give it a try, miss. And you see him slowly aging once again. Middle-aged man. This time he seems to be wearing clothing decent enough. Someone with a little bit of coin, just enough to survive and live. I took your advice, miss. Started helping people instead of stealing. First night, woman dropped, as you said, literally a basket of apples. Picked every single one of them up and put them all in. Remembered your words, I did. Put it in the basket, I did. The last one. Every one of them. She counted them all. She looked back at me and said, "Thank you." And then handed me one, because she could see I was hungry. The words were, "Normally you lot would steal them. And normally I'd let it go. You're different, aren't you?" And then she walked off. That did give me a bit of hope that there's kindness in this world. It wasn't too much longer before I was helping everyone I could. Whether it was a blind man crossing a road, or an old woman trying to cross the street, that sort of thing. Just started off like that. Eventually, I got to know the locals, and the locals got to know me. One of the shopkeepers offered me a couple of coin a day just to see me through, and in turn, I'd mind his shop during his lunch hours. Not bad.
Sounds
Got my,
pretty good to me.
not bad at all. And then I went to the church, the old granary. I saw Timmy, and he was standing there before an altar. He wasn't just standing there, he was giving the sermons. And he looked like he was doing all right for himself. I stepped in. I come on some hard times, you see. The old man that ran the shop didn't need me to cover his lunches anymore. But I didn't mind. I'd saved up a little bit of coin so I could survive a month or so. I got to the church. I spoke to little Timmy. He gave me Chauntea's blessing. And he let me stay there for a couple of nights, as long as I helped him tend the harvest. I did without thinking about it. And I had the best meal I could ever have had. Bread, the fruit, the vegetables was all fresh. Never tasted anything like that in my life. Decided to become a farmer myself. And with the coin I'd saved up, it was about a month's worth, I put it all into this one field. Ploughed it, tilled it with my own hands, and I started to grow crop. And now I'm feeding those that were in my position, helping them out. They do a couple of hours on the field. They come back and they get a good meal and a couple of coin. I'm all right. I thank you for your guidance. I bid you a blessed life, wherever you may go. So thank you for saving me. Otherwise,
It was a pleasure to watch you grow.
who knows what would happen to me? Maybe I'd have my hands cut off for theft.
You're too good of a kid for that. Or, I suppose, a man now.
Aye. And he starts to fade. Chauntea looks up at you. As she looks up at you, she snaps her fingers and you find yourself back in that empty void of nothing, with only you and her voice singing, as it were. You've got a good heart. And it's with that heart that I offer my blessings. And it's with that heart of yours that I'll allow you to call for my spells and aid in prayer, so that you may cast these magics. I know you're not from here. I know you don't yet understand them all. But these are yours to do good in the world with. Many blessings, and may your harvest be bountiful. And she slowly begins to fade.
Or just not in agreement. Like, there's not much she says, but the feeling is gratitude, even if it is not said.
You begin to wake up. The incense in the room has faded, and you feel yourself coming back to yourself again once more, and your eyes opening up. Brother Theodos stands there in the doorway as the door creaks open. Ah, how was your trance? How was your meditation? Did you learn what you needed to know?
Indeed. Is she always so open to talking to people?
She's open to those that are open to her.
It is
But
quite nice.
she'll always provide where required or needed. Hey, she is. Oh, what stories did she tell you? I'm curious.
No stories were told, more stories were shown.
Ah, fair enough. Well, there's not much more I can do for you.
Is there a young man here that, well, I suppose not young man. Is there a man here named Timmy? Or little Timmy?
He smiles, gives you a wink, leaves the door open for you to exit, and shuffles away.
Was that him? Was that little Timmy? Or was that the guy? Help! She.
That's Timmy. Think of his name, girl. His name. Timmy's like such an obvious nickname.
As as the priest lets you out, and you get up and you exit out from the room, Tim is smiling.
Ah!
Brother Theodore is smiling as he walks you out towards the gates. And he simply says, "Little Timmy was me."
I saw your brother grow up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He provides all the seeds that we get in this church. He's doing all right.
That's good. I'm glad.
Ah. It's good to know that Chauntea still thinks of my story on occasions. Can't say much more than that, other than that's why I'm grateful. She's a goddess that listens to her people.
Yeah, I've noticed that. It is odd.
Not really. It's expected. If a day... Think about it this way. If a god does not attend to the people that worship them, then the people that worship them will eventually die away, stop worshipping him or her. And the power that the gods have comes from the worship that is offered. So if everyone stopped worshipping a god, that god, in time, slowly wither and pass away. This is why the gods here actually respond to people. Why they listen. So it's not just for the benefit of the people, although they do aid the people and tend their crops, tend their herd, tend their flock, however you wish to call it. But you'll find, I think the word symbiotic, without one, the other can't survive. Vice versa. Maybe not so true for the people. We probably could survive without the gods, but a little magic just helps make our lives easier. Prayer here, a miracle there. And it does wonders. So just remember that. If you ever finding yourself lost, she'll be able to help you. And for the record, it's Brother Theodore. I prefer it.
Of course, brother. I shall keep that in mind.
You have a good day, miss. And he sees you out.
She kind of like, you know, that like two-fingered salute that's kind of like...
Yep.
Like a short one. She kind of does that as she walks off. And she'll...
As you begin to head back, you notice that the time is nearing just gone midday. So you start to head back to the Azure Watch. And by the time you get there, you meet the party out the front.
She will do the same salute that she did to say bye, to say hi.